What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're back, man. Only a couple of days away from Season of Opulence, and we've got a little bit of news, updates, and clarification about some of the new content. So we're going to jump in and talk about it in the video. Firstly, there will be some new exotic catalysts and a new way to track them, so we'll touch on that. We'll talk about new DLC quests and pursuits, the reward systems, and clarification on how some of that stuff is going to work, as well as obtaining Season 7 Pinnacle weapons, and we've got some warnings as we cross over the boundary into Opulence as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you do, a rating below is very much appreciated, but now let's get into it. Firstly, a quick update on Xur from yesterday. Of course, we covered it in the normal Xur video, but he didn't turn up with a weapon initially. The good news, or potentially good news, is that Xur now has Suros Regime, so he has been updated, and if that's a weapon you want to pick up, you can go ahead and do that, and he's in the tower hangar. On top of this, something else to bear in mind for Xur is that Bungie say his random rolls on gear should be fixed as of next week. That's update 2.5, so although Xur will no longer have invites for us and things like that if we've completed them, at least hopefully he will have more interest in rolls on the gear. But now let's move on and talk about other stuff coming in Opulence. So we know that a bunch of exotic catalysts were kind of added and classified in the database recently, but we pretty much have confirmation here that we're going to be getting a bunch of new ones next season, as well as a new way to track them. So this is an update from DMG here, but he says starting on June 4th, you'll be able to track all of the catalysts via triumphs. So after we've earned an exotic, we'll now see a new triumph under account, exotic catalysts, and the triumph is going to include a description of where it can be found, and sometimes the text will be straightforward, other times it will be a bit more mysterious. On top of this, they say that when update 2.5 goes live, the Sunshot, Graviton Lance, and Sweet Business catalysts are back on the menu, and the good thing is we'll be able to find out how to get them via that triumph. But on top of this, somebody asked Jared Burback from Bungie on Twitter, will every exotic have a catalyst upon release, or will we still have to wait for them to come out at a later time? And Jared said not every, so of course Bungie referenced those old faction catalysts because folks are wondering whether we'll get them, but then it looks like we will have a handful of other exotic catalysts that come in for year 2 stuff, so keep your eye on your triumphs and you'll be able to track where this stuff is. And recently in the database, catalysts were added for pretty much all of the year 2 exotics, or at least the slot was added. But then for Cerberus, Malfeasance, Trinity Ghoul, Lord of Wolves, Wave Splitter, 1000 Voices, Queenbreakers, Two-Tailed Fox, and Black Talon, there are actually some stats associated with them, so it's most likely that we'll get those ones first. Let us know your thoughts about that, but of course we are going to see other UI improvements in Pursuits, which has been moved to the Director now, and the invitation quest step that we can see here appears to actually be linked to the opening of the new DLC in the Imperial Summons quest. We can see from a previous TWAB, in-game, this quest will be granted to all players as an Imperial Summons, and will conclude as the invitation. So it looks like one of the final steps will send us into the Menagerie, which makes sense. And the other cool thing with the updated Pursuits is that triumphs which have a reward will always be called out here. So that could be an emblem, like when you do the Reckoning Flawless run or a Shattered Throne solo run. But on top of this, there will be some triumphs in Opulence, which work a little bit like upgrade points and will actually grant Imperials, which are a new currency used to upgrade the Chalice of Opulence. There has been a little bit of confusion about how exactly Chalice of Opulence works, and partly that is because there is a degree of mystery behind how we'll get certain rewards, but in essence, there will be new weekly bounties that will award runes. You can also get runes from weekly chests on the Nessus Barge, and this is presumably where the Menagerie takes place, but they can also drop when using a consumable that awards a rune after a Strike, Gambit, or Crucible match. And as we've seen, there does appear to be many different types of rune. So as far as we know, they kind of drop randomly, and then specific combinations of runes will award a specific drop. So it does work a little bit like the Holiday Oven recipes, and we'll have to discover the different combinations as a community. But the Chalice is also going to be upgradable via a new currency called Imperials. And these come from weekly bounties, but also specific triumphs as we just mentioned, and there are special Imperial acquisition consumables also in the game, but then these Imperials are used to upgrade the Chalice in various combinations, so you can upgrade the power level of the gear that you get from the Chalice, or upgrade certain nodes, which allow you to select specific drops, or even specific masterwork stat rolls. But regardless of the upgrades, the basics are that you insert runes, run the Menagerie, and upon successful clears, you'll get the loot drop that you've requested from the Chalice. But again, the challenge for the community on the whole is going to be figuring out exactly how different combinations work. So I hope that kind of clarifies a little bit about that. Now though, let's briefly talk about the update and the hotfix coming next week to kick off the DLC, as well as some warnings. So Firstly, on the subject of saving bounties and stuff, Bungie say players should be aware that turning in completed Gambit or Prime bounties from Season of the Drifter after Season of Opulence will result in the player's next infamy rank up granting rewards capped at 700 power. To mitigate this issue, players are encouraged to turn in completed bounties before Season of Opulence begins. So they don't mention other powerful bounties, but they are saying if you apply infamy points from an old bounty to your infamy rank next season, you're going to get rewards capped at the current season's power level of 700. Although Jared from Bungie did confirm if you have completed bounties, they should still be there after the season changes over, and that is in spite of the fact that the Pursuits tab is actually being moved around, so your bounties will still be there, but will be in a different location. Otherwise, try and avoid saving those Gambit bounties because they will mean your first infamy rank up is going to be power capped. For the update on day 1 though, DMG said that 2.5 and 2.5.01, which is the hotfix, will be released the same day, and the hotfix is to sort out some late breaking issues after they'd finished the update. For example, smoke bombs for the Night Stalkers stopped functioning, and the hotfix will sort that out. Once again next Tuesday at 8 AM PDT, which is 4 PM UK, Destiny and the companion app will be taken offline and the update will start rolling out, so that should give us roughly 2 hours because at 10 AM Pacific, 6 PM UK, maintenance should conclude and the game is going to go live, so the grind will begin. Bungie also had some links for players on console with details on getting the update manually if you have any issues, so I'll link that down below. Now we've got an extra couple of insights about the reveals that are coming up for the future of Destiny 2, and Bungie clarify a little bit more about the theme of next Thursday's reveal on June 6th. And Bungie say we're hoping we have you wondering what we have in store for the next year of Destiny 2 because we have some exciting announcements to make. We hope to see you there for all of it. Next week will be all about new beginnings and it wouldn't be the same without you. Now some people kind of said maybe they're talking about opulence stuff, you know. There's been a little bit of speculation, but the key phrase from Bungie there is what we have in store for the next year of Destiny 2, right? So this is definitely the kind of year 3 reveal. And of course it could be that we have a couple more years of content in Destiny 2 before there's another game. It could be that Bungie have a completely different plan, but the core focus will absolutely be on year 3 from what Bungie are saying. On top of this though, Bungie will be at E3 Coliseum, and I mentioned this the other day. We've got a bit of a better description of exactly what's going to be happening. So Jeff Keighley will be sitting down with some of the Bungie development team to talk about being an independent studio for the second time and what the future looks like for the studio and Destiny 2. So it's going to be pretty interesting because Bungie are going to be talking about how they've transitioned away from Activision and what their plans are as they really take control of the franchise, as well as they look into the future of how content could work in Destiny 2, maybe a rough timeline of what we can expect. So this is definitely very significant stuff, right? Because we'll see how Bungie plan to handle year 3 and the rest of D2's kind of life cycle, and generally get a sense of their mindset as a studio now that they're going to be self-publishing stuff. So let us know your thoughts about it, and I'll keep you posted on all of the news because it's literally happening over the next couple of weeks. Now, Bungie in the TWAB did speak about the requirements as well as the perks for some of the Pinnacle weapons. And I didn't have time to cover these before, but the Revoker is the new Crucible Sniper, and the unique perk is Reversal of Fortune, where missing a shot returns the bullet to the magazine after a short duration. Now, to get the Revoker, players will need to earn 3,500 total glory points. However, we don't lose progress when we lose a match. Now, this in itself has been a little bit confusing for folks, and what it means is when you're working on the quest for the weapon, you don't actually lose any points on the quest. So you'll simply need to play enough comp to get 3,500 points, win or lose. And that's just for the quest part. But as DMJ says here, if you're aiming for a specific glory rank, you will still lose glory if you lose matches. So if you want to get 5,500 points for the season, you'll still need to win enough games in the traditional way to achieve those points, right? But then for the weapon specifically, you just have to accrue 3,500 points. And once again, you won't lose progress on that. But there is also the Wendigo, and this is the new grenade launcher with the perk Explosive Light, and picking up an orb of light increases the next grenade's blast radius and damage. And then the Solar Bow Hush, which comes from Gambit, with the unique perk Archer's Gambit, where hipfire precision hits grant a massive draw speed bonus for a short time. It's a really interesting one, I don't know how I feel about that. There has been a little bit of a meh reaction on a couple of these weapons. I think the PvP Sniper perk sounds like it could be pretty useful. It isn't necessarily as flashy as some of the other perks that we've seen, but especially with the current ammo economy for special weapons, it could be a pretty good one, especially if, you know, the scope, zoom and target acquisition, handling and everything like that is good. Yeah, I think that one could be okay. Explosive Light on the Wendigo is definitely a curious sounding one. I guess it kind of depends how powerful it is. If it's a considerable blast radius and damage boost, then there could be situations where it's pretty good. Plus it isn't on a timer, so yeah, we'll have to try that one out. I think the bow is probably my least favourite sounding weapon, although maybe it could be pretty good for DPS and dealing with tanky targets. Again, it's going to depend about the duration and the damage that we get from it. Let us know your thoughts about them down below, but yeah, we don't get additional details on the quests for the Vanguard or Gambit weapons. We'll have to check those out in game, but bear in mind how the quest for the Crucible Pinnacle weapon is definitely different this time around. But otherwise, with that stuff covered, guys, for today, that's going to summarize the video. So definitely looking forward to next week. Also, we have things like treasure hunts and the quests on the roadmap, so should be a pretty interesting season, and alongside all of those reveals, hopefully that Destiny hype is going to start and build back up again. Let me know what you're excited for down below. If you've enjoyed the video, a rating really helps me out, and if you are new around here, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with everything related to the game, all of the news, guides, and that good stuff for next season. Otherwise, thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you have an awesome day.